Hello and welcome back to Forza Horizon 3 with a bit of an investigation. You see, rally cars are always fantastic, crazy machines, but nothing's ever really surpassed the mighty Group B era, which got me thinking. What is the fastest form of rallying currently? We have the modern day being represented by the Subaru Impreza rally car, the A-Class one. We have Group 4, the era before Group B, with the Lancia Stratos. We have a hill climb variant of the Audi Quattro, so for the hill climbing fun, Pikes Peak-esque. And for Group B, we have the Delta S4. And we have a few wild cards thrown in. We have the Ford Focus RS-RX, which is the Rallycross car. And finally, we have a build that I made for one of my rally series, the S-Class ones. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting seeing how each of those cars fare down a stage. Now, for our track, we're using the high-speed desert trail circuits, the one I used in my first build series on Horizon 3, because I have a fair bit of experience on it. It's high speed with some low speed sections, and I thought it would be a pretty good test of all these vehicles' key functions. And as you might expect, the slowest vehicle of the day was the Lancia Stratos. As you might expect, because, well, it is the only rear-wheel drive car on the field, and it is A-Class. It is the lowest classification of the day, and it's a bit sideways. Quite a bit sideways, actually. And, yeah, it's a good car. It handles actually quite nicely. It just doesn't have the overall speed. It doesn't have the traction of the four-wheel drive cars. And it has half the power. It has a measly 290 horsepower, as opposed to the 500 horsepower from the Audi, the 500 horsepower from the Group B S4, 600 horsepower from the Rallycross car. It is marginally less powerful than the Subaru, which is at 330, but yeah, it does, I say, struggle. It's a good car. It handles this track pretty darn level, but it just doesn't have the overall pace, as you would expect. This is more of an investigation to see how close the lap time could actually be, and not can a Group 4 Lancia beat a Delta S4, which is a solitary no. If anyone ever expected that, you need to go look up what Group B is, and then you can go, oh, I was wrong. Yeah. And again, the reason I chose this track, it has a nice mixture of hairpins, high-speed corners, medium-speed corners, crests, elevation changes, bumps, jumps. It is pretty much the perfect course if I did a build series on it. Now that hairpin, really, the cars did not like that hairpin. It was very difficult on them, because some of them had massive turbo lag, like the Quattro had a lot of turbo lag, as did the, to a lesser extent I guess, the Focus. The Focus was remedied, I guess, in a way. Got very close on that run, as you can see there. Got very close. And, yeah, the Focus had a less than problem with turbo lag. We'll get to that in a little bit as time appears, but yeah. The Stratos, it's a good car, but as you can see, it tops out near enough at 150. And when you have long straights like this, long flat-out zones, you need a little bit more speed than 148. Alright, next up was the Subaru WRX Impreza rally car. I actually saw this in real life. It's a very cool looking car. It does have the same problems as the Stratos in a slightly different way. It is slow. It's not very quick compared to the other cars. It does have a lot better traction, a lot better grip. It just doesn't have the overall pace. As you can see, I'm really able to chuck it around. It just doesn't have that acceleration, because it doesn't have a very good power-weight ratio. By FIA governing body, you would only have 330 horsepower an all-wheel drive, and this thing weighs 2,400 pounds. It's not a very good power-weight ratio. Admittedly, it has been increased in 2018 to 380 horsepower. That's not much better. It's a marginal percent increase in the power-weight ratio. But anyway, this car 2015, so it has the less power. It probably won't make that much of a difference. It might get it in S-Class if it had more power, but it's really not anything special. It's actually not very nice handling. I'll argue the Stratos is a little bit nicer, purely because it was more fun. This is very dull in a way. It's faster than it, because of the four-wheel drive traction. However, it's not as fun. You don't get it quite as sideways. The Stratos is a more lively car, a little more lively, a little more fun, while still being easy to control. This is just easy to control, which is nice, but it is a bit boring. It is a bit boring. And you wouldn't think that rallying would get boring, but at least on these high-speed sections, like the wide open ones here, it is not the most energetic thing in the world, as I missed a checkpoint on this run. Yeah. I was cutting that really close on runs. Cutting that awfully close. So, yeah. Oops. But yeah, good fun. It's again a decent time in compared to the other vehicles, but on this relatively high-speed rally, the other cars are just so many miles faster than it. It's not even a comparison. Yeah, it's actually slower than the Stratos, and the Stratos has less power and less weight, and it's still slower. So, but overall, it is a tad bit quicker on the stage. Alright, the next vehicle is, well, a surprise. The Hoonigan Focus RS. You would think a car with 600 horsepower, and all of the downforce, and none of the weight, would be the car to have. However, as you might notice with the gears, and the fact I'm redlining, it's not exactly suited to Rallycross, to rallying. It's designed for Rallycross. I don't know how I got that checkpoint, but I did. And, yeah, it's a strange one, because one would think this is actually quite good at it, but we're topping out on every single straightaway. Why? Because the car is designed for tracks that have a straight section of maybe 5 inches, and are very technical tracks, like the most technical tracks in racing. So, it wouldn't be a surprise to have the gear ratio set to nothing. Which means it tops out everywhere at 140. Which makes it the slowest car here, actually. Almost as slow as the 300 horsepower Subaru, but this is for a very different reason. Yeah, it's not a very quick car. It's very good accelerating. It's the best car. It's actually, I think it's the fastest accelerating car in the game from standard. 0 to 60 stock in 1.8 seconds. Absolutely fastest accelerating cars in the world, these cars. They'll out-accelerate electric hypercars and Formula 1 cars off the line. Yeah, they're crazy monsters. And this is the epiphany of them, really. Audi does have the best one, because they've won, I think, the Rallycross Championship 2 years in a row. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, yeah, it's a crazy car. Let down by the gear ratios, I wasn't allowed to tune them in order to be as fair as possible. It is what the stock gearing comes with, so that's what I have to run. Every vehicle is completely stock except for the Quattro, which I just put the Forza configuration for the hill climb kit, and because that is accurate to the real one. But yeah, great car, let down by, well, horribly short gear ratios. Now, second place is the Audi Quattro, with the craziest aero kit the world has ever seen. Yeah. The hill climb configuration of this car has... That is, like, Peugeot 205 levels of body kit craziness in Lexus RCF. And, well, this started out as a Group B monster and became very successful at tight speed. So it only seemed fitting to use this car. And, yeah, overall it's absolutely fantastic. It's much faster in a straight line. It's four-wheel drive. Has the same amount of weight and has 476 horsepower. And has the gearing to match it. You can actually reach good speeds. And not top out at 140. And the brakes are good because it's light and has very powerful brakes and has the snowiest of snowplows to push through the water very efficiently. And of course it has all that downforce because, gee, when you're up at 14,000 feet going on the edge of a cliff, the air is a little thin. So you need all of that surface area to get as much downforce as physically possible. Yeah. It's a monster, as you might expect. And it's very fast around this circuit. Very fast. Not quite record-setting fast, but it's certainly a noticeable gap. Actually caught me out a little bit on this one, because if I braked a little late, luckily I was able to use the handbrake and slide it around very nicely, in fact, on the go hairpin, and that's a very good corner once you get it right. Same thing with this one up here. That corner, double apex, if you can get it right, it's beautiful. If you can get it wrong, you have a very slow lap. Very slow stage time. But Quattro, fantastic on the bumps, fantastic speed, fantastic grip, great brakes. I mean, it's very difficult to go wrong with an Audi Quattro. And the inline 5, it sounds glorious. And unsurprisingly, the fastest vehicle of our stock ones, which excludes my custom-built one, of course, is the Delta S4. Because it's the Delta S4. It's been called the Ballet of Brutality, which had the ability to get 1,000 horsepower out of a 2.5-liter engine. Maybe it's 2 liter, I don't remember truly, but anyway, it was the most powerful engine per liter of any road-going car in the world at the time. And still one of the most today. It's crazy. It was made of Kevlar and an aluminum roll cage, so if you crashed, you died, and that happened once, and it banned the sports. It weighs about as much as a Ford Fiesta, and this one here comes with 500 horsepower, which is what it ran in Group B, if I recall, because they weren't stupid enough to put it up to 1,000, because that would be suicidal. So, it ran with about 500, but it could get up to 1,000 if you wanted to murder someone. So, and if you wanted to have about 5 million years of turbo lag, that's also possible. But yeah, it's a very nice car to drive. At least in Forza, where there's not super narrow roads. The roads aren't that narrow except in some areas, but on the most part the roads are pretty nice and open, which hence why the Delta not too scary to drive, unlike in real life where it's a nightmare. And yeah, it has great traction, great acceleration, has zero turbo lag because of its twin-charged power plant. Got a turbocharger and a supercharger. First vehicle to ever have that function, and it was in 1986. That's a lot of technology for 1986. I don't know how they made it work, but they did. So yeah, Lancia, very fast, very good control, and yeah, just overall fantastic. It does top out at 158 miles an hour, but that is considerably faster than pretty much every other car on this list. Yep, the Delta S4 was in the lead with a 224.6, and just for comparison, I do have my base build, which was a Sunbeam Tiger, That was my fastest rally build in the first series. And that did a 2:19 when I ran it. So, it is considerably slower than the target car. I say target car, the comparison. But that comparison has 700 horsepower and weighs less. So, as you might expect. Then we have a Quattro, again, a little surprising, 3 seconds slower though, which is quite interesting. Higher PI, but it doesn't have a faster time, a much slower time in fact. So yeah, that was interesting. Focus RX, it is closer than I thought it would be to the hill climb car, given the fact it topped out so much. If I tuned the gear ratios, which it would again break the rules, then it would be the fastest car here, but it just doesn't have the gear ratios. That's the only letdown with that car. Otherwise, it would just blitz everything. And then we have the Subaru 240.9, which is actually not too far off from the rear-wheel drive Stratos. Only less than 2 seconds off. That's pretty good. Considering that's rear-wheel drive and has less than 300 horsepower, I think the Stratos did very well to keep up with that, modern-day rally car. Yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. It does go in the order that you would expect, but the times are actually a fair bit closer than I originally thought they would have been. Alright, now, just for fun, I went to do the other side of rallying, Rallycross. And that is a very different sport. You see, unlike normal rallying, it's not stages, it's laps. Very short, very quick laps. Now in real life, the longest Rallycross tracks are a little under a mile long. That's really tiny. And the shortest ones are only half a mile long. Now in Horizon, it doesn't work like that. But this one is a mile and a half long, mixed surface. I thought it was pretty darn good. And as you might expect, the Rallycross car was significantly better around here. It did top out. Nothing topped out. Actually, if something did top out, oh, you have some really short gear ratios. But no, nothing topped out. And yeah, it was very nice. Almost topped out around the straight, but didn't quite. So that was the beauty of it. And you can see I'm still getting used to the track at this point. But yeah, I thought it was interesting just trying out, seeing how the cars would compare. And it was similar. It was like you saw in the rally stages. The order is pretty much as you would expect, but the times were a surprising amount closer. I was surprised by that. As you'll see later on once I go into the leaderboard, if you will. The times between, for instance, my car, the one that I built, and the Focus, are very, very close. And yeah, you wouldn't really expect that. Again, driving is terrible. I swear I was actually good at driving when I was doing the times, but yeah. Anyway, I digress. It was very surprising. It did still go in the order that you expected, but the times were, as I said, much more similar. It wasn't quite 20-second gaps that we saw in the stage times. They were much more bunched up together. Alright, so, on the official Rallycross times, here we have, the Rallycross car unsurprisingly took victory, but the base build was only 0.3 of a second faster. Now that was interesting. On the stage time, it was several seconds faster than Delta, but in this one, it's only 0.3 of a second faster than the next fastest car. That's very interesting. And then less than a second later on is the Delta in third, followed up by a relatively large gap, the Quattro Hill Climb in fourth, sorry. with a 107. Yeah, the Quattro, it was consistent. It just didn't have the acceleration, if you will. That it had a little bit of turbo lag in that one, not too bad though, but a little bit. Then we again have the Subaru, again, less than a second off, 0.3 of a second off. That's 100 PI less than the Quattro. That's pretty darn impressive. And then, again, a second and a bit later is the rear-wheel drive Stratos. That's very respectable. For being 1.5 seconds off of the Quattro, and you're a rear-wheel drive Stratos A-Class car, that's very impressive. I was very surprised by that. Yeah, it's in last, but it's not in last by as much as you would think. Very, very interesting results from this one. Now, we all know in real life that the Group B cars have been far surpassed by their modern-day WRC counterparts, simply because these things were from the cast iron age, where aluminum everything was just being invented, and they didn't have the handling, really, the modern-day ones. But in Horizon 3, nothing challenges the Group B cars. The modern day is several seconds off in the lap times for the Rallycross and in the stage times for the Rally stage. They're just leaps and bounds ahead of everything else. And they're the most legendary. I mean, Group B is the perfect era if you exclude all the deaths and fiery explosions. But, yeah, that was unrivaled, these cars. And the Delta is pretty much the epiphany of that. The ballet of brutality here. Yeah, it's fast. I think it's a well-deserved victor of this little mini investigation. And it is one of my personal favorite rally cars of all time. But that is going to be it for this episode of Forza Horizon 3. I'll be back with more.